Aloha! Welcome to Remote Microfilm Viewing Service, a lightning round presented for the 2023 Northwest ILL. This session is about a library pilot project conducted by Hamilton Library at the University of Hawaii at Mānoa to increase access to microfilm resources. I'm Jean Thoulag, Access Services Librarian, and your presenter. The Remote Microfilm Service pilot project was developed with the inspiration and collaboration of ILL librarian Naomi Chow. We both are pleased to be sharing our project. A bit of background about University of Hawaii at Mānoa and Hamilton Library. UH Mānoa is the flagship of the University of Hawaii system, or more commonly UH. There are 10 campuses on 6 major islands. UH is classified as an R1 research institute and has a student population of about 18,000 students. Hamilton Library's collection highlights are the extensive Hawaiian and Pacific Island materials and unique resources in our Asia collections, and more. Our library's microfilm collection has over 2.5 million items of microfilm, microfiche, and microcards. Many microfilms contain documents about Hawaii, Pacific Islands, and Asia, with a physical copy no longer available. Hamilton Library does not lend out microfilms. Subsequently, we turned down numerous requests for lending. Digitizing entire rolls is currently, for the most part, not an option. Who makes requests to borrow films? The library receives requests to borrow films of unique materials from students on the other Hawaiian Islands, UH Distance Ed students, other libraries through ILL requests, and from independent researchers from around the world. We also note researchers making repeated visits to Hawaii from various US states and countries to use our microfilms. As you can see from this map, Hawaii's geographical remoteness makes research visits very costly. Last year, we learned about Penn State's model for remotely sharing microfilm during the COVID pandemic. We reached out to Penn State Library staff and Yale's Access Services Department to learn more. Meanwhile, we consulted with our library's desktop network services, and they in turn consulted with UH System IT staff for possible solutions. With no funding for a new software solution, we needed a low-cost model. We also needed a model that would allow for a manageable workflow by the current lean department staffing levels. They suggested we use our UH System Zoom service and create a separate email account to use. In the next few slides, you'll hear a brief overview of the current model we are piloting. Our digital microfilm readers are Scan Pro 3000 units. We have 4 of these. One unit is now dedicated for use for remote microfilm viewing. Following our Library IT and UH Systems IT recommendations, we set up a separate email account that is linked with our university Zoom license. Both accounts are dedicated for only remote microfilming viewing purposes. We moved one digital microfilm station into our Access Services office and placed it at the back end of our business office window section. Our IT staff made some security limits in the desktop system to restrict access. Next, we developed a Google form to gather patron information about their experience and skill with digital microfilm readers and using Zoom. We anticipated a need to conduct some type of orientation and training. We also asked information on patron country, time zone, preferred length of viewing sessions, and suggested days and hours. Next, we developed a workflow process and trained selected students to be assistants and monitors. Here's a view of the 5-stage process and workflow we are currently using in this pilot. We receive an incoming request to borrow entire films either through ILL or library management system or direct phone calls. We contact the requesting library's ILL service or directly contact the patron and offer a remote viewing opportunity. If the patron agrees, the Access Services librarian sends the patron an email and the link to the Google form and then arranges viewing appointments. Next, a Zoom meeting invitation is scheduled. In advance of the sessions, we send a PDF copy of the Scan Pro 3000 manual and tip sheet with suggestion to review. A student assistant is scheduled to monitor the viewing session. 15 minutes before the session, the student assistant prepares the equipment, loads and advances the film to the first viewable frame, and then opens the Zoom meeting. A student or our staff monitors the viewing session by sitting nearby. The patron is asked to leave on the camera but mute themselves. The student monitor turns off the library's camera and mutes the sound. However, external speakers are left on so we can hear calls for assistance. The student monitor observes the video occasionally and listens for movement of the film to make sure it's advancing smoothly and to respond to any questions that the researcher has about equipment, film, etc. At the end of the session, the monitor ends a Zoom call and checks for saved scans for the Access Services librarian to file drop. It is possible for the patron to email a few scans directly to their own email account, but we recommend they save scans to a folder as a batch and receive through file drop. After the session, if the patron is not finished with the reel, we put a little piece of a Post-it note on the edge of the frame last viewed. When we start the system again for the next viewing session, we know where to begin. The student assistant will log session details, time and duration, number of film, number of scans saved, and comments about problems, issues, etc. The Access Services librarian checks the log after each session and file drops the scans. After confirmation that the user received all his scans, we delete the files. We use a separate Zoom invitation per patron and delete it when the patron completes all viewing sessions. Here's a quick look at the Google form, which helps to give us some knowledge about the patron's familiarity, etc. There's a link there. You can look at it yourself later. Here's a student monitoring. You can see that they also have a desk right behind back-to-back of the microfilm station, so they can either be looking at the microfilm user or doing a little bit of work on and listening for a call for assistance. And here's a sample of the post-session log, started as a handwritten log that gets transferred into a Google Sheet. To wrap up this round, here's a little bit of data about our service encounters to date and a few lessons learned. We piloted the first session with a librarian colleague at a university in Florida. She tested the reader functions and downloading of scans, one session from home and one session at her university library. Our first official session was a researcher in Australia who meticulously viewed each document on 6 full reels and took notes over the course of 16 sessions, each an hour and a half to 2 hours, each scheduled 2 times a week over an 8-week period. Our second user was a PhD candidate in New England who viewed 6 films, spent 1.5 to 2 hour sessions over a 3-week period. Currently, a faculty at a university in Eastern Canada is interested in viewing 4 films of archival documents. They were transferred to the Library of Congress from the island of Guam. To date, 92 scan pages were saved and file dropped. Both researchers reported being very grateful to have access to the microfilms. Now, a few lessons learned. Use a strong internet connection or lags will be problematic. Check the computer's timeout settings. Without a strong internet connection, advancing and rewinding the film was cumbersome, and as was adjusting the film settings. The added benefits. Student assistants reported they enjoyed working with the researcher and contributing to the research process. They also reported they had a new appreciation for the value of microfilm. We will add information in our next step of this service. We'll add the information to our ILL page and our library website. We want to develop a tip sheet for viewing different sorts of documents on the microfilm that have non-standard sizes and different language characters and orientations. Well, that's our lightning round. Mahalo for listening. We will check for your questions on the Huva during the rest of the conference. Please contact us with any questions. Mahalo for listening.